the 21st of December. It's Stepney's birthday. Yes, steam locomotives have birthdays, obviously. Though it's shadowed by the bigger birthday next year, at 149 years old, the long history of this little engine deserves to be celebrated. Like myself, many were introduced to this loco in particular through Audrey's engine stories and the TV adaptations. Then discovering that the bright Brighton-coloured terrier has in fact been here in our world long before any of us. Anyone who has read the Railway series may note that the illustrations differ slightly to how Stepney is preserved at the Bluebell Railway today, as he's not actually a painting. Moreover, old photos from the engine's career seem to show a different look. So what's changed? Today I'm going to discuss the design differences that altered the appearance of Stepney and many other Stroudley Terriers. Exciting stuff. Time and time again I've seen Thomas fans buying Hornby's new tooling of Stepney, then being confused why it doesn't quite look like how they imagined it. In their defense, people have been asking Hornby or Dapol to make a version of the engine as seen today for many years. But sometimes model manufacturers have model-sized ears. This is a representation of Stepney in the early 1900s, and even then it's slightly different to how it was built in 1875. William Stroudley designed these little engines to work on the lightweight tracks of South London, working through the Thames Tunnel. To save on water, they were fitted with a pipe from the smoke box to the side tanks, which condensed exhaust steam back into water. Not only did this reduce the steam cloaking up the tunnels, because Stepney would not be exempt from ULEZ charges, but it also warmed up the tanks so that the water didn't take as long to boil. As efficient as this was, condensing the steam wasn't without its faults, and these pipes were removed in the 1890s, then reinstated after 1907, then came off for good in 1939. However, there is a patch on the front of each tank that, to this day, shows where the condenser pipes were fitted. On the top, there was a raised area that prevented the water from the tanks pouring out in reverse into the smoke box. But with no purpose now, they have gone too. A popular feature of Victorian locomotives were these elegant curved shapes on the smoke box, called wing plates. They don't really do anything, but they look fancy. As built, the Terriers had oil pots on the front of this, and the sandboxes right behind, sitting on the curve of the splashers. The London, Brighton and South Coast Railway works plate was put here, with the sand dropping through the frames in a pipe to the leading wheel. After being given a second chance in life, Stepney and a handful of other Terriers were rebuilt by Douglas Earl Marsh. This would be one of his last tasks as Chief Mechanical Engineer at Brighton Works, and he took a different approach to the Terriers compared to rebuilds of other old engines he had undertaken previously. In 1912, he made a new, larger smoke box, which was circular and rested on a saddle, with the oil pots on either side. The wing plates had to go, so the sandboxes were put under the frames instead, with a lid on the running board to access them. The same went for the rear sandbox, which originally ran from inside the cab. A blower pipe was also added from the driver's side of the cab, running along the tank tops. The works plate was moved to the splasher, that now being a uniformed arch. With the new smokebox came a new cast iron chimney, which was more curved and did not have the copper cap like the original. At the same time, the bulky wooden brake blocks were replaced with cast iron ones, and on the bunker the coal capacity was increased with an extension on the top. In terms of performance, the biggest changes came in the form of a brand new boiler design. You can tell them apart because Stroudley's boiler had the dome and safety valves in line with the filler caps on the tanks, but Marsh's boilers moved them forward slightly. Less visually obvious, but the cylinder size was also reduced from 14 inches to 12 inches in diameter, as the intention at this time was to run the engines on small trains and to cost save on their power. The LB SCR originally ran Stepney with air brakes, but the engine was now also fitted with vacuum brakes, which explains the two different pipes on the buffer beams. The Westinghouse air pump on the fireman's side was also removed. Up until this point, Stroudley's Terriers were known simply as the A-Class, but Marsh decided to specify them now as A1, and any rebuilt examples became A1X. Stepney has changed liveries, or paint schemes, several times throughout its life, but is most recognisable in its original Stroudley improved engine green. However, even this has several alternative versions. For instance, Stepney never wore this colour in A1X form throughout its working life. When it was rescued by the Bluebell Railway in 1960, they soon wanted to call it back to its roots, so recreated the ochre livery as best as they could. An original copper-capped chimney was also found on classmate Poplar, and swapped out with Stepney's. With its colour changes also came number changes, which meant that the Bluebell didn't have the original number plates when it arrived. Instead, they painted the number 55 on the bunker. The font was also different to the Brighton Works standard, being slightly bigger and shaded a cream colour rather than gold leaf. This is how the engine appears in book number 18 of the Railway series, Stepney the Bluebell Engine, and therefore in all its appearances on Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. The illustrators Peter and Gunvor Edwards based many of their paintings on real photographs, so this early preservation era Stepney is the one that is most recognised. Fast forward to the present day, and Stepney has seen many overhauls since, and is now retired. Lucky Stepney. As of 2025, it is in a more accurate interpretation of improved engine green, with the font better matching, and replica number plates added to the bunker. Unlike earlier versions, the sandboxes and parts of the frames are painted black instead of vermilion, and the safety valve tops are in blue. The riveted smokebox has also been replaced with one that is smooth, and even the face it wears has changed many times over the years. There we go, a visual comparison of how Stepney has changed appearances over time. Its older sibling Fenchurch has also been rebuilt, but was restored cosmetically to look like the original A1 version of the class, so is a good reference point to compare the two designs. I have discussed the history of several Terriers previously, where I talk more about the livery and number changes that they've had over time. This one was more to talk about the design alterations, and to celebrate 149 years of the engine that gave this channel its name. I'd better save some videos for the sesquicentenary. Happy birthday, Stepney, and Merry Christmas, everyone. Many thanks to my brilliant channel patrons: Alex Goodman, GBH Train, D0280 Falcon, Sean Tempest, Random Thomas Fan, Dark White 73, Andrew Dyack, Reese Lee Walter, Ryan RTS, Ewan Pentland, Steam Power 4472, Jude 72, Firewind 10, Suddery Rails, Luneacres Photography, Mario Sonic 64, Elias, and Soda Fox Art.